Welcome back. This is Shankar, your instructor for Statistics for Business 1.
And I'm Liza. I'm his therapist.
We began by downloading tourism data from the World Bank website. In our previous segment, we identified a grand list of 161 countries for which data exists for all years from 1995 through 2010.
God, that's a whole bunch of numbers you've got.
Not to worry, Lisa. Speaking of tourism, there are some countries that I love visiting. Italy and Ireland. I can think of a couple of reasons. My favorite meal would be pasta with a bottle of Tuscan wine. This here is a plaque from some of my associates over at Dublin. It's in the Gaelic language and it translates to 100,000 welcomes. Back to business. In this segment, we'll take up a visual examination of our data set. So let's get back to our spreadsheet. So we have this final countries tab and we've got a grand list of 161 countries. So let's look at sorting these countries alphabetically. I have done that using my filter here, and my first country here is Albania. We were talking about Italy, Ireland and India. Shall we see how these are different in terms of their tourism receipts? For this, what I'm going to do now is to scroll down India, which is at row 69, Ireland at row 72 and Italy at row 74, and for good measure also the header row at the top. I'm going to copy all of those rows. I'm going to create a new tab, call it comparison. Keep in mind that all of the numbers are in millions of US dollars. So the first two rows are reasonably close, if you notice, whereas the third one has a sizable jump. Now scrolling across, we realize that all the way up to 2008 things are okay, but at 2009 there is a sizable drop in the row corresponding to Italy, whereas it isn't so much of a drop with the other two rows. As you saw, it's not the same story for India. There's a small drop from 2008 to 2009, but it picks up steam the very next year. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's build one. I will select the data from 1995 all the way up to 2010, remember? And then, of course, the names of the countries. With this, I will insert a chart which is a line chart. Yes, it's that simple. Italy, as you can see, is head and shoulders above India and Ireland.
All I can say is Mamma Mia.
Basta! Don't forget the sharp downturn for Italy at 2009. Now we'll get back to the spreadsheet and create a comparison table where we will look at the differences between two different countries. I will copy the header once again, paste it, and instead of country names, I will say countries. So for each of these, I'm going to fill up the numbers from the previous table that we've got. So Italy versus India is this entry minus this entry. What I'm going to do is to copy these numbers and paste it all the way across till my last year of consideration, which is 2010. Now I would like to ask the question, what would happen if we only examined India versus Ireland? So we'll begin by selecting only those rows from our first table. So what I will do is to choose my years of observation all the way from 1995 through 2010, just the two rows at the top, and of course my countries. The y-axis gets rescaled so we can see the patterns more clearly. Over the years, India appears to catch up on Ireland in its tourism. And suppose I choose to observe the difference alone, I will look at the last row from the difference table. Here's what we will do. I will get rid of Italy versus India and Italy versus Ireland for now and just retain the two countries. So I'm going to hide these and then just look at India versus Ireland for the entire time period. Yes, I'll select those two rows and then of course get back to the names of the countries. Now the trends in the green line become far clearer if we allow it to stretch out. The first figure suffers from what we call the white space problem. And you understand why. When there is plenty of white space, there is scope for distortion. At this point, we'd like to ask, why was there a drop after 2008? You guessed it, the global economic downturn was the culprit. This effect on India appears short-lived. We see the tourism receipts bounce back up in 2010. The reason lies in a 12% increase in foreign tourist arrivals. This was twice the WTO prediction. The WTO is the World Tourism Organization. Its prediction for the rest of the world. One contributing factor was the Commonwealth Games that attracted over 70,000 foreign tourists to the country. What do you think are some other factors? I'll let you figure them out. Now let's pause for a minute and take note of what we have done so far. First, we framed a question. Now to answer that, second, we downloaded a dataset from the World Bank website. We even performed an extensive cleanup by narrowing our focus to those countries that had data for the period between, 1995 and 2010. Third, we visually examined some trends in the receipts as well as their differences. Fourth, we interpreted a finding that emerged from our analysis. Numbers by themselves don't explain everything. More often than not, we must step outside the realm of statistics to arrive at an interpretation. You see, these are days when IBM supercomputers crack questions on quiz shows like Jeopardy! Unless they come up with answers to our complex questions, we are still in business. So, it's time Liza and I bid you arrivederci.
Or, as they say in Italian, see you later.
Absolutely.